Welcome to Capitol Dateline Online. I'm with our guest, Jim Saunders, Executive Editor of the News Service of Florida. Well, as per usual, we have marijuana in the news, and there's been a Quinnipiac poll that said in Florida, 80% of voters would approve a constitutional amendment for medical marijuana.
Yeah, there's been a lot of activity about the medical marijuana issue the last couple of weeks, one of which is the poll that showed 80% support for a constitutional amendment that's going to be on the November ballot. This amendment would make medical marijuana available to patients with a wide range of different types of conditions. I mean, ranging from cancer, HIV, hepatitis, post-traumatic stress disorder, really a wide range of different conditions. But this is all sort of a repeat or a replay of 2014. There was a similar amendment that was on the 2014 ballot and just narrowly failed to pass. Constitutional amendments need 60% voter approval in Florida. That one got about 58%. But we're seeing a lot of similarity from what went on back then. Early polls in 2014 showed similar support, really, 80% in that neighborhood for support for that amendment, and it again failed to pass.
And I remember early in that campaign, everyone believed that constitutional amendment would pass.
Well, it's interesting to look at the details of the Quinnipiac poll once you get beyond that big number too, because you look at different age groups, you look at different the different political parties, and there's overwhelming support in that poll across demographic lines and partisan lines for this proposed constitutional amendment. Now, if you look at the broader political world right now, you can't find that many issues that people are that uniform about. But the real issue is going to be in November, when it gets to the ballot, whether that support has been knocked down, which is what happened back in 2014. We already saw the first indication of that this week. A group called Vote No on 2, which also led the fight against the 2014 amendment, put out a web video. Now, granted, a web video doesn't have broad, it's not like a TV ad that's running at 6 o'clock every night. But this web video sort of gave an indication of how they're going to attack this proposed amendment. They're comparing it to what's gone on in California with the marijuana industry there, and they're saying, we don't want pot shops on every corner in Florida, and they're comparing it to California. It's a very similar attack to what they took in 2014, where they argued that the proposed amendment at that time was just too wide open, that it was going to allow too much, it was a sort of, entrance into this broad-scale marijuana legalization. So we're starting to see the early indications that this group may come in and try to knock down that support. If they get below 60%, if they can knock it below 60%, then the amendment fails. So, another interesting thing that's part of that is that the 2014, most of their money came from Sheldon Adelson, who is a billionaire who owns casinos in Las Vegas and other parts of the world. And he put more than $5 million into that anti-medical marijuana initiative in 2014. It's unclear at this point. We haven't seen any money from him this year. But if he comes in with several million, or somebody like him comes in with several million, this could become a pretty hot campaign.
Yeah, it could. Okay, and talking more about the upcoming elections, there are now 9 incumbent United States House members who won't be running. Why is that going on?
Well, the latest one was Kirk Clausen, who is a relatively new member of Congress. He was elected in 2014 in a special election to a Republican stronghold down in Collier and Lee counties. All of a sudden this week he says he's not going to run for re-election. It opens up that seat.
Is that to do with redistricting.
In his case, it's not. I mean, the 9 have varying reasons for why they're not going back into their are going to run for re-election. For instance, Gwen Graham here in the North Florida area, she's clearly not running because she got her district got redrawn into a very Republican district that I think she would acknowledge Democrats have very little chance of winning that district. So she said, I'm not putting myself through that. I'll look to 2018 to run for a different office. We got 4 of them, 4 members of the U.S. House who aren't running because they're running for the U.S. Senate. Right. That's Ron DeSantis, David Jolly on the Republican side, and then Patrick Murphy and Alan Grayson on the Democratic side.
Who are having a little tiff right now.
Well, they're going at it pretty good right now, too, in the U.S. Senate race. So there's 4 more. You know, you've got, but 3 of them have really sort of surprised us lately, or I don't know about surprise, but it came out of the blue to me. One is Clausen not running. I mean, a Republican's going to win that seat, and he really doesn't have any opposition. Similarly, Jeff Miller out in the Pensacola area, Western Panhandle, who's probably one of the more influential members of the Florida delegation, decided to retire after 15 years in the U.S. House. And then Andrew Crenshaw, who also had been around about that same amount of time in the Jacksonville area, decided not to run. Now, Miller, Crenshaw, and Clausen, barring something we just don't know about, all of them would have been reelected easily, but they've decided not to run. You know, they cite family reasons, they cite various reasons, but they aren't. Have all decided to give up what are safe seats, and the Republicans will win those seats. But still, those incumbents are leaving. The 8th one that I haven't referred to is Rich Nugent down in sort of west central Florida. He announced several months ago that he wasn't going to run. He was a little bit more like Clausen in the fact that he hadn't been around that long in Congress comparatively, and he basically said he wanted to stay closer to home, if I recall correctly.
So it's going to be an interesting new slate of people.
Well, I think the takeaway from a lot of this is we have a lot of elections, big time elections this year. I mean, you're talking the presidential race, a U.S. Senate race that could help determine whether the Republicans or Democrats are going to control the Senate. We're going to have 9 essentially open U.S. House seats. In addition, there could be other U.S. House seats that are competitive. And we're going to have all 40 Senate seats, and we're going to have 120 State House seats. So it's going to be a busy next 5 months.
Great. Thanks, Jim. For more about Florida news and government, go to the Advances section of our website and keep coming back to Capitol Dateline Online for daily postings.